Now let's talk about necessary versus sufficient. That is the single most common pattern that quietly caps scores in logical reasoning. You see a tempting, powerful answer and you think to yourself, that would definitely make the argument work. Then you pick it on a necessary assumption question and you get burned because you chose a sufficient assumption when they were asking for a necessary assumption. Now here is the clean distinction. For a necessary assumption question, they're asking you for what the argument needs just to work. If you remove it, the argument falls apart. Doesn't have to be dramatic, just has to be required. On the flip side, a sufficient assumption is different. If it were true, it would guarantee the conclusion. And it can be stronger than what the author actually assumed. For necessary assumption, we use the negation test. You gently negate the answer and see if the argument falls apart. If it does, the original was required. But if the argument still technically works, then it wasn't necessary. On the flip side, for sufficient assumption, you use the plug-in test. Pretend the answer was 100% true or guaranteed, and you ask, would this force the conclusion to be true? If yes, it's sufficient. Now, be on the lookout for traps. On necessary questions, strong language is often wrong precisely because it over-guarantees. Words like all, every, must, or the only could be a red flag. On the flip side, necessary answers often sound modest. They'll use phrases like at least some, tends to, or usually. They protect the argument rather than supercharging it. But on sufficient questions, the stronger statements are often right. So in other words, the very strength you should distrust on necessary is what you should be looking for on sufficient.